Hello mga kawamat! Sa video lesson na ito, i-discuss natin how to define sampling distribution of sample mean for normal population when the variance is known and unknown. Sa mga previous video lesson natin, mas madali natin ma-identify kapag given yung population variance. At kapag hindi given naman yung population variance, mas madali natin ma-identify. So yung focus ng video lesson na to, we are going to determine the situation kung saan at tuwing kailan natin ma-identify na given yung population variance at tuwing kailan naman hindi given yung population variance. In distribution of the sample mean for normal population, kapag given yung population variance, so alam natin na yung symbol na ginagamit natin kapag sa population variance ay ito yung sigma squared. So dito class, alam natin that the population has a mean, no? Hindi naman natin makukumpute yung population variance kapag wala tayong population mean. So ito yung symbol ng population mean natin and ito naman yung per population variance. So the distribution of the sample mean is at least approximately normal and standard error of the mean. So dito, kapag given yung population variance natin, so ang ginagamit nating formula to find the standard error or the standard deviation is this formula. No? Ito yung ginagamit natin. So to compute the population standard deviation, where ito, yung symbol na to is population standard deviation at itong N naman is yung sample size. So, kapag kukunin natin yung standard error, kapag given yung population variance, ito yung gagamitin nating formula. Para ma-solve natin or to determine the probability of a certain event, we can use the Z distribution. No? By transforming the mean of the sample data to an approximately normal variable Z using the relation using this formula. So again, para makuha natin or to determine the probability of a certain event, we're going to use Z distribution kapag given yung population variance natin. So using this formula. At tatandaan natin na itong distribution na to can be applied for a large sample sizes. So again, itong Z distribution natin can be applied for a large sample sizes like N is greater than or equal to 30. So ito halos lahat, no? Kadalasan yung mga sinasabi ng mga researchers that kinoconsider nila na yung large sample size ay sinag-start sa 30 or equal sa 30. Greater than or equal sa 30. Kapag yung population variance naman natin is unknown, so the standard error na ginagamit natin na formula, so pinapalitan lang natin yung S where S is the point of estimate of a population standard deviation, no? Or tapos yung N naman natin is the sample size. So tatandaan natin, yung S natin is the point estimate of a population standard deviation or the sample standard deviation. So ito ay pwedeng point estimate of or ito ay a population standard deviation. And then yung N, of course, that is the sample size. To estimate the population parameters, to estimate the population parameters, since sample nga to, so gagamitin natin yung t-distribution. So using this formula, again, bakit natin gagamit yung t-distribution? To estimate the population parameters. So remember that as N, the sample size is very large, so kapag ang sample size is very large, the standard deviation is where S is almost what? Okay, indistinguishable from the population standard deviation, and therefore, T and Z distribution are essentially identical. So remember, gagamitin natin yung T distribution natin for a sample size. kung ang Z distribution, gagamitin natin kapag yung sample size natin ay greater than or equal sa 30, si T distribution naman ay less than kay 30. So, yung sample size niya ay less than sa 30. Alright, so for example, determine whether the following statement have a known or unknown population variance. So, magpapakita ako ng mga situation, din i-determine natin kung given ba yung population variance or hindi. And after that, kapag given yung population variance, identify natin yung formula to estimate the standard error of the mean. Okay? So, for example, consider a population consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 11. Samples of size 3 are drawn from this population. So, this is a population data. Okay, so given yan. Although the value of the variance is not given, so hindi natin nakikita dito yung population variance, hindi siya makikita sa given natin, pero makukompute naman natin, no? Makukompute natin yung population mean and population variance using the formula where your paano natin makompute yung population mean natin? That is the summation of x over n. And then, the standard, yung variance naman natin, the summation of the squared of your x minus the population mean over n. No? So, kahit hindi natin nakikita yung population variance dito, alam natin na makukompute natin yung population mean. Once na makompute natin yung population mean, makukompute natin yung population variance. So, therefore, this situation is an example of sampling distribution when the variance is known. And then since the population variance can be calculated, again, since the population variance can be calculated, we can use this formula to find the standard error of the mean. So using this formula, no, the population standard deviation divided by the square root of n or the sample size. Number 2, given the population mean of 12 and a sample standard deviation of 3 in a sample size of 125. So, first, need natin identify yung given. Okay, so yung population mean natin is 12 and the sample standard deviation is 3 and the sample size is 125. What do you think, class? The population variance is unknown. Okay, so kasi class, bakit hindi given yung population variance? Bakit yung population variance is unknown? Kasi class, nagbigay siya ng sample standard deviation. So kapag nakita nyo na mayroon siyang sample standard deviation, ibig sabihin, the population variance is unknown. So the given values, of course, the population mean is 12 and the sample standard deviation is 3 and the sample size is 125. So, we can use the formula, okay, to find the standard error of the mean. So, ito yung gagamitin natin formula. So, again, yung dito, the population variance is unknown. Okay, so tingnan yung pagkakaiba nila. Okay, tingnan natin yung pagkakaiba nila. So, sa given pa lang, makikita nyo na, ma-identify nyo na, known ang, yung population variance dito is known. Dito, unknown. Kapag wala kayong nakita na sample standard deviation or sample variance dito, ibig sabihin, yung population variance natin is known. So, madali lang natin ma-identify. Okay, another example. A population composed of 10 items whose measurement are 12, 11, 15, 8, 20, 23, 18, 13, 22, and 10. Samples of 6 items are drawn at random without replacement. So, una muna, syempre, kunin natin yung mga given nito, no? Para hindi kayo mahirapan. So, based on the situation, ano yung mga given natin? Yung sample, yung population size natin. Okay, so yung magiging given natin dito, yung population size natin is 10, and then the sample size is 6. So, sa situation na to, this is a population data. So, therefore, ang population variance natin is known. So, again, the population variance is known. So, to compute the population variance, pwede natin gamitin itong formula na to. So, kagaya ito ng example number 1 natin sa previous slide natin. So, hindi natin nakikita, wala sa given yung population variance, pero makukompute natin yung population variance using this formula. So, therefore, this is an example of sampling distribution when the variance is known. And we can solve the standard error using this formula. Okay? The population standard deviation over the sample size. Over the square root of sample size. Okay, number 4. A senior high school teacher claims that the average time it takes a group of students to complete the mathematics examination is 50.5 minutes with a variance of 17.64 square minutes. Okay, she randomly selected 45 students and found to have a mean of 52 minutes and a standard deviation of 3.5 minutes. She then used the Z distribution to find out if the group can be complete the exam faster than the population. So what do you think, class? Is the population variance known or unknown? Of course, nandyan yung Z distribution. So, tuwing kailan gagamitin yung Z distribution? If the population variance is known, so therefore, sige, kunin muna natin yung mga given. The population mean natin is 50.5. Okay, kita natin that the population variance is 17.64. Okay, again, yung population variance natin is 17.64. Binigay yung population variance. And then the sample size is 45. Okay, and then the sample mean is 52. And the sample standard deviation is 3.5. So therefore, the population variance is known. Kasi, ayan o, sa given pa lang nandyan na siya. Okay? So, and then, the population variance has a value of the square root of 4.2. So, what would be? Kapag ni-squared natin yung 4 at 17.64. And then, after that, okay, so at saka isa pa, makita rin natin na yung sample size natin is mas mataas sa 30. So, yung sample size natin is greater than or equal to 30. So, therefore, the population variance is known. And we can use this formula. Number 5, a manufacturer of light bulbs produces bulbs that last a mean of 800 hours with a standard deviation of 100 hours. To assess the claim of the manufacturer, a random sample of 12 of these bulbs was tested and found to have a mean of 790 hours. He then used the test variate 2 or this distribution, the T-distribution. So, anong mangyayari? So, this is an example of sampling distribution of the sample mean for normal population where the variance is not given. Kasi kita rin naman na ang gagamitin ay T-distribution. So therefore, the population variance is not given in this problem. So, using the formula, the population mean is 800, the population standard deviation is 100, the sample size is 12, and the sample mean 790. So therefore, the population variance is unknown. And then, the standard error for this formula is the sample standard deviation over the square root of the sample size. So, I hope mas na-identify nyo tuwing kailan natin madidetermine ang isang problem o yung isang situation na given yung population variance at tuwing kailan hindi given yung population variance. Okay, I'll give you 5 questions to test yourself. So, ito ay multiple choice. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng, pwedeng i-post yung video after the 5, yung, ano ko na, ibigay ko na yung 5 questions sa kanya i-post. Kasi yung sunod nun, yung answer na. So, kung gusto nyo talagang is ma-practice yung sarili nyo, wag nyo muna i-play doon sa may answer key. Okay, so I'll give you 5 questions to test yourself in this topic. Number 1, this distribution is used to determine the probability of an event by transforming the mean of the sample to an approximately standard normal variable when the population variance is given. Again, this distribution is used to determine the probability of an event by transforming the mean of the sample to an approximately standard normal variable when the population variance is given. A. T distribution. B. Z distribution. Letter C. chi-square distribution. And letter D. Person correlation coefficient. Next. Question number 2. Which of the following equation is the formula used to estimate the numerical characteristic of the population where the population variance is unknown and the sample size is less than 30? Letter A, using the Z distribution formula. Letter B, using this formula. Okay, this formula rather is not Z distribution since this one is a sample standard deviation. Okay. Letter D, using this formula. Tingnan maigi yung formula. And letter D, using this formula. Okay, let's proceed for number 3. Which of the following formulas is used to calculate the standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample mean for infinite population when the population standard deviation is given? Again, which of the following formulas is used to calculate the standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample mean for infinite population when the population standard deviation is given? Letter A, using that formula. Letter B, using that formula. By the way, yung sinasabing standard deviation of sampling distribution, that is also in the standard error. Okay? Also in the standard error. Baka malito kayo. Letter C using that formula and letter D using this formula. Okay, for question number 4, the average family income in the Philippines in 2019 was 22,250 pesos with a standard deviation of 1,250 pesos. In a certain municipality, a sample of 50 families had an average income of 25,000. So this situation is about the sampling distribution of the sample mean where the population is blank. Letter A, variance is known. B, variance is unknown. C, the standard deviation is small. And letter D, the standard deviation is large. Based on the problem, so choose the correct letter or choose the correct answer from the 4 choices. Okay, for number 5, so this is the last question. A researcher used to develop a problem-solving test to randomly selected 100 grade 11 students. From this sample, the mean on standard deviation is 90 and 4 respectively. The mean of the population is 88. The researcher is in the situation of the sampling distribution of the sample mean wherein the population is blank. Letter A, the variance is known. B, the variance is unknown. Letter C, the standard deviation is small. And letter D, the standard deviation is large. Okay, so before you play, pwedeng i-post mo na yung video kasi yung next ko ipapakita is yung sagot na. Kung ready na kayong sa sagot, i-play nyo na. Okay? Alright, so ito na yung sagot natin. Number 1 is letter B, number 2 is letter C, number 3 is letter B, 4 and 5 is letter A. So if you get 5 out of 5, congratulations. So you may share your score in our comment section sa video lesson na to. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button para updated kayo for more video tutorial. This is your guide in learning your math lesson, your Wow Math channel.